Hey, what's up, guys? We're testing this live feature. I can't do it mobile until we get like 1,000 subscribers or something. So I'm doing it on the computer. Excuse my mess in the back. I'm in my office. So today I'm gonna kind of talk about what it means to me to be a victor and not a victim. I think you can't be both. I've always said that in my life, as far as like when people say, you're a victim of child abuse. And I'm like, no, I'm a victor, I'm a survivor. And, I've been called a victim of rape or a victim of domestic violence, or I don't look at myself like that. I think I'm still here. I'm still, healthy and happy and all of those things. So I look at myself as a victim. I mean, play on words. I look at myself as a victor, not a victim. So a little story to go along with that. When I was 7 years old, my dad decided to get married, and this is the first time like we had I guess like a family dynamic. My grandmother raised me for most of my life because my dad had us when he was a teenager, and so my grandmother is the one who took care of us. So my dad got married when I was 7 um, to this beautiful lady. Like she was like something out of a magazine. When you're a kid and you don't know your biological mom and you think like one day we're going to be a family or I'm going to have a family, this lady would have been like what you saw in a magazine with a family. She was beautiful. She was sweet, soft spoken, had tone. And so when we met her, we were like, this is a dream come true. We're finally going to have a family. No, my dad was there, he wasn't with us. So he was always working or fishing or going out or whatever. And he was really a bad alcoholic through the first part of their marriage. And then they decided they were going to quit drinking together. And so we started listening to like Christian radio and stuff like that. So it was good for about a year. And I'll never ever forget the first time that I felt a stick like go across the side of my face. I was probably like 7.5, almost 8, and I had asked to go outside to the sandbox in the backyard. And this woman, I'm not going to say any names. This woman was reading a book, and so I'm like a kid and I'm like, hey, can I go out to the sandbox? And she doesn't answer me. So, kid, I'm like, she didn't hear me. So I'm like, hey, can I go out to the sandbox? And she still doesn't answer me. So I'm like, hey, can I go out to the sandbox? And all of a sudden I feel like this stinging just pain through the side of my face. And she had picked up a switch and just like slapped me dead across the face with it. I was like, oh my God, So there was that. And then unfortunately the abuse got a lot worse after that, to the point of like torture methods. And we were in church at the time. So when I would go to church, I would be like, they said that Jesus can save you. How come he's not saving me? Like, how come I have to go through this? How come, nobody's coming to save me from this monster? And that's exactly, the way that I looked at her after that, because I mean, it was just, we didn't want to come home from school. And when my dad would walk out the door, leave to go to work, my stomach would just tie up in knots because I knew that it was coming. And it almost got to the point of she got joy out of the things that she did. So she would sit up at night, thinking of new ways to uh, punish us, as she said. Um, I remember her looking up like military training, um, exercises and things like that. And so um, it was really bad. By the time I turned 10 years old, I got to the point to where it didn't make me cry. And um, I wasn't going to let her see weakness in me. Like, I have that mentality of like, you're not going to break me. And so um, I remember when I was 15, I ran away and I was like, if I can just get out of here myself, I'll save myself. And I tried to get my sister to come with me and like she wouldn't. So I was gone for almost 2 days before I was found. And then I was brought back. And unfortunately, um, my sister, had to take the heat from that. And that is the last time that we ever spent a night in that house. Um, we had a really big dog, and she had trained it on command to attack us. So when I got home that day, I walked in and my sister was on the floor, and the dog was just like attacking her. It was biting her, and she had a big, huge, like gash in her side from where he had bit her. And I remember thinking, like, I have to save her. I can't just save me. I have to get her out of here. And when this woman looked up and saw me, I guess, I had let the tears fall by that point. So she picked up a board for a project that they were doing, and she just hit me one time with it right here. And blood went everywhere. And it was probably one of the more scarier times that I had gone through as far as, 9 years of abuse. But I remember like just the warm feeling of blood like running down my face. And she wasn't worried about it. She just looked at me and was like, go clean up before your dad gets here. And I'm like, how can nobody see who this woman really is? Like she is a monster. But when she went out, like she was that soft spoken, beautiful, face done, church going, um, loving wife with mother of 5, even though 2 of us weren't hers. It was like, this woman is such a great woman. And I remember thinking, like, how many other people are in the church are really monsters behind these beautiful faces? And of course, at that time as a kid, I was like, I don't ever want to go to church again. And I'm not really sure who this God is that people keep talking about, but I don't think he sees me. And I guess that's my confession for this episode is, you never really know what's going on in someone's life. You just don't. They can look like they have it all together. They can be perfectly done up. They can, have a great smile and be on every charity board that there is to be on. They can serve and all of these things. And I don't say that so that you have like this fear of, people in the church or things like that. But I do say that to say, like, you can't judge all the people in the church based off of one person or a handful of people. Just like you can't base people in the gym off of, whoever's on the treadmill or whatever, because everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different journey. And everybody has a different reason for going, and so I go to church now and I'm very active in the church. We volunteer with the youth and we volunteer with um, small groups and things like that. And so, you know, there are things that go on in my life where like I go to church and I'm done up and I have makeup on and all of these things, but inside it's not all done up and it's not all beautiful and those things that you think of when you think of church people. So that's my episode for today. Like I said, I'm testing this live thing. I am, kind of just trying to see where this will go. If you guys have any suggestions, like, should I call them episodes or should I call them sessions? Who knows? I don't know. I'm not a therapist. So, and if you know of anybody who, may be struggling with child abuse or anything like that, and you don't want to reach out to like authorities or anything like that, because I know that when I was going through what I was going through, I know that lots of adults knew what we were going through. I know that there were a handful of adults who watched the things that we went through, and they just never, they were under the mentality of somebody else will say something, somebody else will report it, or somebody else sees it, somebody else will help them. That somebody never came. Like, I got us out of that situation by the grace of God, and at the time I didn't see, that it was God orchestrating my steps or my path, but it was definitely like God's had his hand on my life, my whole life. And, but it wasn't due to another adult who stepped in and said, this is wrong. This can't go on anymore. So don't want anyone else to do it. Like if you can't contact it, tell somebody, anybody, and maybe they will have the, resources or whatever to contact and tell somebody else. But don't say nothing, because silence is a huge, huge killer and a huge enabler to abuse and addiction and all of these other things, which, I'll do some sessions or episodes on those. So I hope you guys got something out of this. Leave your comments in the comment section, or you can email me. And I will see you guys hopefully in a couple of days. Maybe next week. We have a hurricane coming, so who knows what power is going to look like. All right. Have a great week, guys.